Welcome to Grit Happens. I'm Mindy Stearns, and to know him is to love him. He's a CEO, an entrepreneur, an outlier, overcomer, father, brother, underdog. I'm talking about my husband, Glenn Stearns, and this is Grit Happens.
We are so excited to continue our discussions with Glenn's past and other players in the life that he outlines in his debut novel, or what do you say, memoir?
It's called a novel, dear. It sounds like
novel.
I'm much smarter than I am.
Yeah, his novel.
Yes.
Integrity. It's
That's
a great
right.
title, and there's a
But
lot.
I'm nervous today.
Oh,
I'm very nervous. This man knows all my flaws.
Romance from childhood, like literally, he knows every
This
dirty
man
laundry.
actually started all my flaws.
He was actually part of every dirty,
This
nasty
man is
story.
responsible for all my
I
flaws.
love how he takes accountability for his flaws. Let's blame someone
That's
else.
right. Hey,
I am so excited to welcome your best friend from childhood, someone you have known since the beginning, literally, like, has been there for so many of the great stories that weave their way throughout the book. Mr. Shane O'Malley.
Hello.
Or as we also affectionately call him, Tim Gunn.
I'm happy to be here with you. And
We love you, Shaney.
I think it was the other way around. Glenn was instigating me, but that's okay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So this continues. This is a 40-year-old feud. Sorry, it's almost.
I was an angel.
almost 50, dear. 45. But I'll tell you, when you look back, and I've talked a lot about success and what it means. And obviously, I think the foundation of success is happiness. And that leads into relationships. And I've had the best relationship with Shane for over 45 years.
That's pretty
Has
incredible.
been my best friend in my life. And we've been through a lot of highs and a lot of lows together.
And I'm sure a few of them you guys don't even remember.
Oh yeah, I mean, Glenn reminds me of stories that I forgot about all the time. He's got a better memory on stories that through our years together. But I always try to remember it my way anyway, and he always says no. It went like this.
You know what? That's why you got to write a book, Shane, because when you do, you get to say it your way.
True.
You tell your side of the story. We're gonna look for the other book that comes out, the anecdote to integrity.
Yeah.
It's just plain called Grit. It's called Grit.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
But a lot of my life, obviously, is based on pain and based on things that happen that kind of set you up for the future to be able to handle things differently or better, or
helps you grow.
Shane,
helps you grow.
I want to go back. I want to start with when you first. Do you remember first meeting Glenn? Do you remember what he was like? Do you remember like the personality he possessed? How old were you guys? Like 10 or something?
Well, I met him in class. It was an English class. I even remember the teacher's name, Mr. Molest. And
Mr. What?
he was Molest. His last, not molest, but molest. I know.
Back then, yeah, we had some interesting teachers.
Anyway, so he was there with another buddy of his that we all became friends down the road, but it's Cliff. And, Glenn was pretty laid back and friendly, and Cliff was really bad. He was, asking me if I wanted a piece of candy, and he'd pull it away from me. And so Glenn was the nicer of the two in the beginning. So that's the first time meeting him, and true love ever since.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like, was there any sign of genius or greatness in there? Did you see any glimpse of it at that time, or did it evolve later? When did you see?
The genius was always there.
Yeah, the genius was very little, so it's hard. No, he always had a good personality, and he, befriended people that, sometimes I wouldn't, but he was always open to meeting new people.
Let's set the stage, right? Because I was 14. I had come out of a Catholic school where in 8th grade, where I had gotten a girl pregnant. So when I went into the 9th grade, she was in 12th grade and still pregnant. So I was kind of the talk of the school for the wrong reasons, right? I
Mhm.
mean, people were, pointing because look at that little ninth grader got the 12th grader pregnant, right? And
Right,
Man,
right.
and it wasn't,
that would have been a reality show if that was
well, yeah,
around
but it
back then.
wasn't cool back then. It wasn't
No, it
like,
wasn't.
look at me. It was actually kind of,
It's horrifying.
yeah,
wasn't it?
horrifying
Looked
at the
down
time.
on in
Yeah,
a way.
and I had just come out, and it's in the book about two teachers when I was really depressed. Right when I met Shane, right before that,
Right.
they took me they made me go through a detention, and I went in for the detention, and they took me to Shakey's Pizza and bought me a beer.
Do you remember that?
And no, I just was meeting him. My
I
point is,
Do you remember
just met
did
him.
you tell him about that? A teacher would be
it's
fired nowadays if that
they
happened.
would, but it was the
Yeah.
best thing that happened to me because I was so lost. And they said, "Look, son, you're a man now. You're going to be okay. Don't
Right.
worry about it." And it was the most beautiful thing that ever had happened to me at the time because I was lost. And I come right out of that, and then I meet Shane and Cliff, and they were kind of on the wilder side, I guess,
Right.
like at the time,
Mhm.
Shane came from a family of seven. You had
Yeah,
six,
5 girls and
five
me and my
girls
brother.
and
Two
one
brothers,
brother.
2 boys.
And so by the time they got to Shane, they were like, "Go do what you want to do," right?
They're
Yeah.
exhausted. Your mom
Yeah,
was
my mom had a
exhausted.
And me, I've got now a kid on the way. So my parents were, "You're done." So he and I were,
Kind of figuring it out on your own.
we were, and
Yeah.
we'd go to the parties, and then everybody'd be like, "Oh, well, it's 11 o'clock. I mean, I got to get home, my curfew." And Shane, I'd be like, "We don't have a curfew." Like we'd
That's
be the
right.
only two left,
Yeah,
and
we'd be out all night.
we'd be out all
But you know
night.
what? Let's go back just a little bit because Mindy, when I had met Glenn in that classroom, Glenn asked me to come over to his house. And we hadn't known each other for very long at all. I don't know if it was that day or it was a few days down the road. And I said, sure, I'll come over, and hang out. So we went over to the house. And then that's really when I found out that Glenn had Charlene, which is baby. And,
Oh, wow.
being in ninth grade, I mean, I didn't even think about having sex back then, and I was like, Glenn
Wait,
was like,
what?
hey, this is my girl. This is my baby. I was like, wow. I kind
Whoa.
of blew me away, but you know what? She was a beautiful baby and everything worked out great. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So let me just, okay, there's a lot to unpack there, but there's something that's kind of interesting. When did the fights begin? When did you guys start beating the crap out of each other? Why? What
When we
is that
started
all
drinking
about?
together.
When you
Yeah.
started
Well,
drinking? That was like 12, right?
No, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's 14, I mean,
Yeah,
again,
like 14.
when people read the book, if they just read the first couple chapters, you're gonna think, what a loser, right? What a
Well, we
lost
know
Right.
the
kid.
ending, so obviously that's the beginning.
But
So
we went through a lot growing up, and again, back then, I guess you could say, but maybe
Uh-huh.
it happens in other communities now, I'm sure, but there wasn't a lot of parental, um, guardrails,
Right.
and we got into a lot
Dumb stuff,
more
dumb
stuff
stuff.
than most people, and so we drank a lot. I mean, a
Yes.
lot. And
Mhm.
I mean, we would go to driver's ed with a sippy cup.
Oh my
You know?
God.
Yeah, at
I mean,
7:30 in the
Not do
morning.
this at home, kids.
it was some really dumb things that
Yes.
went on, and so yeah, so we would get into some fights, and we got into a lot of fist fights, a lot of fist fights.
We got in a lot of fights, but it was like, kind of like lovers quarrel. I mean, we'd get in fights, but then, after it, we hold our little grudges for a couple of days, and then we said, "Man, I really miss him. I gotta call this guy."
Yeah.
So
So
that was the beginning of dysfunctional relationship.
Well,
yeah,
I remember one time, not to go into too many details of fights
Don't
again.
tell a story that's in the book. Tell something that's not in the book.
All right, I don't know if this is or not. I can't remember, but I remember one time when we got into a fight. We were in the kitchen, and it was you and Cliff and me, and the three of us got in a fight. My dad said, "Take it outside."
Right,
So the
right.
three of us went outside. It was me against you and Cliff, and I went to fight you both, and you both just beat the crap out of me. And
Like MMA, that's where it
so
began.
they were both beating me up, and then my dad just walks outside. Do you remember this? Picks me
Yes,
up
I
by my
do.
hair,
And
driving up the stairs, and threw me into my room. And you
yeah,
two ran away. And then,
exactly.
as my mom called it, you guys come back, you knock on the door, you
Right.
cry. Is Glenn
Yeah,
okay? Like
we're
you're
sorry.
crying, worrying if you beat me up too bad, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm
we
asleep.
were.
Yeah.
At what point, Shane, did you find some illusion of like the kind of the gritty, buckle down, I'm just going to take it type of attitude in Glenn that, said that this guy's going to do something? Did that ever show up, or was it a gradual thing? Did you ever see
No,
that?
Glenn always we both always talked about, being successful and being wealthy. And, I think a lot of people do that when they're younger, but, Glenn truly took it to heart. And, probably when I noticed it is when he went out to California, after school, and he started his business, and he just did not want to fail. And, that's when I knew it. And then he just kept getting better and better at his job, and I was rooting him on. So that's really when I noticed him, change as a person, I think, because, I knew him when we were all kind of immature and, just running around the streets. But,
You remember, Shane, when
yeah,
you and I climbed the tallest building in Rockville, which is
yes,
called the GBS Tower,
GBS building,
Which is
Glenn
your
Bryant's firm.
initials. That's his
my
initials.
initials, and we climbed onto the roof, and we
Yes,
climbed over the roof, and we set up on the
The letters.
on the
on the
letters.
railing.
Yeah,
Yeah, we tried to hang off and stand on the letters, but we couldn't
yeah,
reach them. But thank
yeah.
God we didn't, because we would have probably broke the letter off and fallen to our deaths.
And you probably
Exactly.
wouldn't get back
So
up.
we
How
sat
are you
there
going to get back
No.
on
up?
the edge, holding on
Oh,
to the side
God.
of the building.
Yeah, it's like a
We-
19-story building. It's pretty tall. It was
My
But we
tall.
sat there on the edge,
My heart
right
hurts.
on the very
Thinking
edge,
of
and
it.
sat. And I said, like, this is my building. One day
Yes.
I'm gonna have buildings with my name on it.
Yes,
And
you did.
but you gotta put it out there,
It's
manifest it.
manifesting.
And
Yes.
Were you there when he tried to
Manifest
climb
destiny.
the transformer?
I
oh,
was.
When he got electrocuted off the
Yes,
bench?
I was there. He, it was raining, and he went over. We had a few beers, of course, and he went over and decided he was going to climb this, huge tower. And he got a little ways up, and he just got zapped. I mean, like
yeah.
electricity shot through him, and there was and he had marks on his arms from it.
It
And
burned
I
my
was just,
whole half of my shirt off.
He
Yeah.
could have died again.
But I
I know,
remember
I was
waking up
scared as
because you
hell.
were crying, like trying to get me off the barbed
Yeah,
wire, because I had blown off it and was knocked out, and he's trying to
yeah,
get me off of it. And
it was crazy. And Mindy, he had like little burn marks on his arm, and he just seemed dazed after it. Obviously, it was a hell of a jolt, but crazy. That's yeah, par for the course for us, actually.
So
But
you
Yeah.
guys have been through a lot together personally. You guys have had your, like, what kind of friend is Glenn to you? Like, what is a friend? Like, if you guys, what makes you guys friends? What do you think?
I could always count on Glenn. Always count on him. Always could rely on him telling me the truth about something. And so I think that's what, just developed years, after we met. And I just always, he would just always tell me what he thought, and I could always trust him. So
You know
that's
what?
probably,
I think
yeah,
when you look at people, and everybody kind of comes off with an angle in life, in the beginning, and we just developed a relationship that became very unconditional. He might have
right,
done stuff that I'd say, that's stupid. Why would you do that? Or he'd say the
Right.
same thing to me, but you didn't judge, it was never judging. And we would do so many things together that were very probably not not the greatest. Again, this part of my life in through high school, I was very confused because I had a child, and
Right.
we were just learning about life and stuff, and and trying to grow through that. But we'd always bounce back from each other's. I didn't take anything personal. I remember one time when uh I was coming home. I had just gotten a ticket in Ocean City for driving very, very fast. With you and I were in the
Yes.
car, and they put the roadblock up and all
Oh
that.
my God, you guys
But
were
that's
like
all.
Yeah.
stealth these outlaws.
But no, that I was nervous. I don't want to get another ticket. So I was
Right.
driving home from DC with him in the car, and there was a cop following us. And I was just about to go away to college. And as I'm driving, I go, Shane, don't turn around. But there's a cop following me right
Should have
behind me.
never said that.
I know. Why did you even say
So
that?
what do you think Shane does? What's he doing? What's he doing? I said, Shane, don't turn around. F that cop. F that cop.
Yeah.
And he kept doing it. And I'm
So
saying, Shane, stop turning around. And I kept going. And now I'm turning into the neighborhood, and Shane just won't stop turning around. What's that guy doing?
yeah,
I
like
was
why is
so
that cop
pissed.
following us? What, I mean, we're not doing anything. I was just
But you
like
just keep
irritated.
turning around
And
like
he
you're
keeps turning
guilty.
around, and
Yeah,
I
you know,
keep
doing
driving.
this.
Now Shane lived in a cul-de-sac, and so I
Of
turned into
course.
the cul-de-sac, a court cul-de-sac, and his house was straight in the back. So I
Right.
pulled right to the driveway.
So wait, I want to know, Shane, what are you thinking at this point? What's
He's
your
still
mind?
mad about the cop,
I'm just like, why is this guy following us? Because we were,
and I'm mad.
driving normally, and
But hang on, I'm mad because he won't
right.
stop. And now I know back. By the way, I'm thinking I might be in a little trouble. So
Right.
maybe this guy's gonna take me to jail. I don't know.
Right.
But you're young and dumb. So as I pulled into the cul-de-sac, the cop pulls right up behind me.
And then what happened, Shane?
No,
I want to hear Shane's side. You remember?
Well, I of course was just, just thinking about the police officer, and meanwhile Glenn is probably stewing over there, and mad because I can get him into more trouble, but
so I
that's
got out
not
of
what I
the
was.
car
Yeah.
and I walked around. The cop is right there. I got out of the car. I walked around. Shane got out of the
Yeah.
car, punched Shane right in his face.
Popped me right in the face.
Oh my God. So what?
So we fell into the bushes.
We
I figured,
yeah,
look,
we
if I'm not going
wrestled.
to jail,
I'm taking him with
I
me.
am going to not go
Yeah,
without hitting him in his face a couple times.
exactly.
So we're in the bushes fighting each other. All your sisters come out.
My
They're
sisters came
grabbing
out.
legs and they're grabbing everything. And the cop is just sitting there.
Yeah, watching all this go down.
He never got out. He never intervened.
No, he never got out of the car. We were fighting each other the whole time, and the cop was just probably stunned by it all. Like, what are these two idiots doing? They're like fighting in front. It was just crazy.
pulls out and drives away.
He
Pull
figured
Never even
back
got
and
caught.
says, I'm not even
more
going to
damage.
mess with you guys.
More damage to each other than throwing you in jail. He just let you figure it out.
Yeah, he just
So,
said,
Shane,
you know what?
The point of the story is, maybe, if there is a
is
point,
there a point?
well, hey, I mean, he's an idiot. Why did you do that? I'm gonna get you
Yes.
back. And then it's over
Yeah.
with. All right, clear the air,
When
But
I think about
remember
it today, I kind of go, God, I'm really sorry because I could have got him in a lot of trouble. But I'll tell you what, I got paid back maybe a year later. I was out with Vince Fuster, a friend of ours, and a couple other guys. And I was coming home from Georgetown, and a cop pulled me over. Short story. I didn't get lucky. These guys were all saying, "Why did you pull my buddy over?" And the cops threw me in jail. So I got kind of my payback.
Well, there was another time he and I were walking home.
Okay,
A
was gonna be a
bunch of us.
whole.
I know I could go through a million, but
And
we
what
were
did he
walking. We were walking home from something, and we would walk like 10 miles home. It wasn't like we walk around the block. And we were
Right.
walking down Veersmill Road late at night, and
Yes.
I said, let's go see Steve Stagg's grave, a friend of ours who had died. And
Yes.
it was in a wooded area. They had like, he had woods, and then it was a graveyard in the woods.
Yeah.
And
Terrifying.
so
No,
we
thank
went
you.
through the woods at like 1 a.m. We walked through here, and we went and looked, and we had nothing. You don't have a
Yeah.
iPhone, so you had to wait with the moon to try to look at every single
How did we
grave.
find it?
We
How
found
the hell
his
did we find
grave,
it?
and I was so tired. I said, Shane, let's just, there was like 4 of us. Let's just lay here and we could sleep. Let's sleep on Steve Stegg's grave. Let's sleep.
Yes.
And so I laid
Yes.
down to sleep. And what happens? I fell asleep, and those guys couldn't wake me up, and they left me in the graveyard.
It was probably on purpose, but or not.
So
I don't know.
let me ask you, so this kind of, there's a theme that runs through a lot of your interactions. There's a lot of alcohol involved. And so
Mhm.
going upon that moment, kind of expanding on it, but that was a big thing in your life. Like his dad, that was a
Yes.
big deal. And a lot of the, a lot of parents drank around that time. It was more accepted, but it still was
Yeah.
as damaging. Talk about a little bit about what you witnessed with his father's alcoholism and how it played out in your lives, in his life.
Um, his dad loved to drink like a lot of us do. And, Glenn and his father didn't really have this great relationship. It was, you know, his father was kind of happy when he was drunk, but when he wasn't, he just really not a very nice person. And I liked him, but we kind of liked him when he was drinking. That's what I remember. But you know, that's what I can remember about it. It's just that Glenn and him just didn't have a real close relationship. And, that's why later on in life, I was kind of, Glenn told me, I'm going here with my father. I said, you're friends with your father? It's kind of a shock to me, but
That
it's a good
came
thing.
around. Yeah.
But to finish that story, because when when you think about people struggling with alcohol, right, they're
Hmm.
not bad people. They
No,
have
a lot of people struggle.
situations that they have a hard time figuring out how to deal with. My dad
Right.
had a lot of demons growing up. We all had a lot of demons growing up,
Yeah.
and
No, I
you
did.
know, yeah, and so you cope with it in whatever way you know. And in the case of my dad, he knew from his dad, who was a huge alcoholic, and
Right.
going down the road, right? And so he was a miserable man, right? We all know the end of that story. He became a wonderful friend to
Right.
Shane and to me for the last 20 years of his life.
Absolutely.
What an amazing guy
I
he
love
became.
that guy.
My Shane lived near him for the last 20. They would see each other and do stuff back in Maryland,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then I'd fly him out thanks to you. But yeah, it was
Glenn, Gilbert became, close friend of mine. And I just love the guy so much. I mean, after he passed away, I could, I cried so much. I was like, wow, I really miss this guy so much. And he was just a really, really good person.
yeah,
And
he
it was,
was a super.
yeah, he's not, it's just like when we all drink, we're kind of different people. And when you get that out of your life, you become, the person that you really are. So,
Let's talk about that
Yeah.
a little bit. And I want to talk a little bit about how your friendship grew through your own struggle with
right.
alcohol. Can you tell us a little bit about that story and what happened and how Glenn stepped in as a friend? And
Yeah, sure. I was drinking a lot and going out partying. Glenn was in California at this time. I was going through my own problems with my own demons, and I was drinking so much that, like, you kind of remember those old films that they show you in school. If you drink and you'll start drinking all the time, and I was like, yeah, right. So, but that's basically what happened. I started drinking in the morning to get over my hangover. So it was like just a horrible situation. But I think Debbie, or my wife Debbie, gotten in touch with Glenn because I was going through some tough times, and she said, "Glenn, you got to come out here and try to, take Shane, get him some help because I was kind of at the end of my rope there, and I'm very thankful for Glenn for coming out. He flew out. He got on a plane and he took me back to California. I went to a rehab in Century City,
Well, let's
which
slow it down for a second.
okay, sure.
I would get a call from your wife.
Yes.
Oh no, Shane has been in a big fight and we're really worried about him. He's in the hospital.
Yeah.
Shane drowned and he's in a coma. Shane, so I mean, Shane, this was not like, you know, this
Well,
was
they would
the
call us at midnight, and they were just getting going.
Oh
exactly
yeah.
Midnight our time, which
So
was
it's
3
3
a.m.
a.m.
their
their
time.
time.
And you know,
And
Right.
how
it
many
was,
bottles of wine were you guys in?
and it would
Oh,
happen very regularly where I finally got to the place. I mean, when you went and got into the coma, right,
right.
from
The drowning.
drowning, and you
Yeah.
got out of it, and you said, "Look, it wasn't from drinking. It was
Right.
because I turned my neck a certain way, and it set this vertebrae." And then I go, wait. So they said you had like a 2.6 alcohol. You had cocaine, ecstasy,
No,
marijuana, all
no.
these things in your system. So none of that was it. It was
No,
so
no.
it was just the fact that you turn your
It might
neck.
have had a little bit to do with it, but not no.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
so
I don't mean
when
to
you got
laugh.
out of the hospital, and then you said, "Hey, me and this guy want to go to Texas or some fun place. Do you want to go?"
Oh,
And
it was yeah, Puerto Vallarta in
Puerto
Mexico.
Vallarta. When after you get out of the hospital, and then you call me and you want me to go with you on a trip to Puerto Vallarta or somewhere, and
Hmm.
I knew who you were going with, and I said, "No,
Right.
all you're gonna do is party. I don't want to
Right.
go, Shane. No, we're not gonna party." And I go,
Right.
"Shane, I know this other person. That's all he does."
Yeah.
And you're like, "No, no, no, no." I'm like, "You are not changing. You almost died, and you're
Yeah.
still gonna keep going."
Yeah,
That's
that wasn't enough.
yeah, you are
I,
not done.
I wasn't
And
done yet.
you know,
They say when
when
you
that
hit
happens,
bottom, you know.
it's hard to talk to somebody who can't see the destruction that's going on. And so I was
Yeah, it's
afraid for your life, but at the same time, everyone I knew around you was getting more and more numb to it, right? Like you're
great.
not going to change. So I'm just waiting. All right, the next call. I knew the calls.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3 in the morning. It's Debbie. Now, is he dead yet? Right? I mean,
yeah,
it was,
I
you know.
know.
So
Yeah, but you know what?
You have had, tell us how long it's been since then, because you've been completely dry and clean.
Yeah, I haven't drank anything for 18 years, maybe a little more. I'm going to 19. So, yeah, that was yeah, it was Glenn helped me out, brought me out there, and they all were doubting me, and I just nope, I'm not going to drink anymore, and that was it. It
remember,
was just brutal.
Shane, you were in on a psychiatric hold or whatever they call that for
Yeah,
48 hours,
72 hours. Yeah, psychiatric.
72 hours, and you had, shaved your eyebrows off. You look like Max Headroom, if you remember who that guy
Yeah, I
was.
shaved my head. I look like some kind of crazy guy.
You had, and you used to say you only drank one. You had a cup big enough to fit a whole bottle
Yeah,
in a cup.
I only had
I
one.
only had
Only
One
four.
one.
bottle.
You had four. How many bottles? Well, four bottles. And
Yeah, the people at the wine store were like, "You guys have a lot of parties," and it's like, "No, it's just my husband."
Oh my God.
so
Cases and cases of wine.
I
when
don't
you
mean
were
to
in that,
laugh, but wow.
yeah, when you went to the loony bin or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
I flew out and I remember getting you and I said, "Let's go for a ride."
right, right.
We went to
Remember?
Gettysburg.
No, went
And
up. Yeah, went up to Gettysburg and then like Cunningham Falls.
yeah, we
That
went to Cunningham Falls first, and we went out, and I remember flipping rocks, looking for the little
yeah,
salamanders. It was like 100 degrees, and we were doing all this fun
right.
stuff. Went to Gettysburg. We put the little CD in. Over the hill came Grant's men, and we listened to the whole,
Um,
battles going on.
yeah,
And then we had a dinner, and then you were like, "You can have a drink. I'm good. I don't need one." I go, "I don't
right,
need a drink. I don't want a drink." And
right, right.
and then I said, "But we gotta hurry up your dinner." "What do you mean?" "Well, we gotta go." "Where we going?" I go, "I'm
Yeah,
taking you to California." why? "Well, I'm taking you to rehab." And I remember he
Right.
just laughed. You go, "Yeah, I guess I'm
Yeah.
You finally
I'm
just felt
about
like
ready to
you
go."
surrendered in that moment. Was that kind of like you knew it had to
You
be done?
know, I was like, you know, kind of like begging for it to happen anyway, because I mean, I've catch myself times where I was just at my own house, like crying because, just being so over drinking and I didn't know how to get out of it. So,
Oh,
and that's why my relationship with Glenn is he's like one of the only guys I would trust. And so he was the best person to get me out of that situation. If it was somebody else, I don't think I would have gone along. So I trusted him so much that I said, you know what? I'm going to do this, So
And a lot of people, I think, you know, hopefully there's people out there that would hear this and know, there's hope, right? I mean, when people see themselves at the bottom, and there's so many families that struggle with alcohol and drug
yep,
addiction, and whatnot, and and they say you gotta hit your bottom, right?
yep,
And that day, obviously, I mean, you were a mess, and so it was time. And I'm glad. I I uh, I think it takes a lot of courage for you to kind of realize that you're ready to go and not have an ego about it, right? Because then
right.
this becomes, what, I'm done. I'm sick being sick, right?
Yeah, that's what it
And
was.
yeah,
there's a great quote from this book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, that the boy asked the horse, like, what was the bravest thing you've ever said or asked for? And the word was help. And I think
Yeah,
a lot of people think asking for help is a weakness.
yeah,
And I think it's a strength. When you ask someone to help you carry the burden of your pain, whatever it may be, I think it
right.
shows a deep and great level of strength.
yeah,
And
Yeah. You
you
don't
had
want to
courage.
burden somebody with your problems. So, like I said, Glenn was that kind of friend. And I don't think I probably, who knows where I would have gone. Maybe I would have drank myself to death if it wasn't really for Glenn, because I, I trusted him. So
I'll tell
that's
you
all about
another,
relationship.
Let me
an,
just on that real quick before you think that, keep that story in mind. What I want to say, just as a friend of someone, when
Mhm.
when someone asks me for help or asks me to intervene or to be supportive, it honors me in a way that people
Right.
don't realize. When someone reaches out to you, people are afraid to bother their friends or burden their friends. But I think when you
Right.
allow a trusted friend in on your journey or your pain or your struggle, it honors that friendship in such a deep way. The friend
Right.
feels a deep amount of honor that you'll allow them to help you carry. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of
I
people, I
agree.
don't want to bother them. I don't want to bother them. But I think
Right. Right.
so
true.
You don't
I
want to
was,
burden. You think you're burdening them, but
But
it's
it's
like when
such a
Glenn.
gift.
Well, when Glenn went through all of his health issues, like I was happy to be there helping him
You
because
were
he was my friend.
and
So
with that,
they don't.
Shane,
Yeah.
I mean, what people don't realize, I mean, in the middle of my cancer, and all the 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 drugs and everything that I had to take, just to live through all that pain, you
Yeah.
were there for months helping me out, changing my feeding tube,
Right.
everything that you did, like, and it was a beautiful, uh
That made me feel good,
testament of our
so I was
friendship.
glad to do it.
Yeah. And we've been through a lot. I was going back on a moment about when I asked you to pack your bag to come out to California to go to the rehab. I was
Right.
waiting for you, and I remember sitting in your living room, and I saw a VHS tape of your
Right.
wedding, and I
Yeah.
said, you know what? Can I take that back with me? Because I want to see if maybe there's any video of my mom. I have no video of
Right.
my mom, and she had passed away
Uh huh.
by then. And I said, yeah, I'd really love to see if there's anything in there because I knew she was at your wedding. And he
Yeah.
said, yeah, take it. So I did, and I looked through it, and the irony of the only piece that was caught in your wedding of my mom was when she was drunk and she fell on her butt and her dress
Oh
comes
yeah.
up. And they used to always do that, her and her sister Joy And you
Yeah,
and
I
I went to
remember.
a million places from New Orleans to Mexico to Florida where we would be crazy with these ladies dancing and having fun.
You talk
Yep.
about that in the book. You expand on that story.
And so she falls down, dress over her head, and thinks it's another funny time. And when I
Right.
remember, because I was pretty done with all that insanity you guys were all going
Yeah.
through, and I saw my mom do it, and for the first time in my life, I'm like, it's not funny. It's
Right.
not fun. And so
Right.
I remember getting mom up, let's go get another beer. I said, Mom, let's get some water, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so when I saw that tape, I thought, I wonder why God would give me the only piece of video history I have of my mom is the only moment I was kind of embarrassed. And maybe it's just a reminder,
Yeah.
something, but
I don't. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it embarrassed you. I mean, but it's your mom, and you saw that. But I don't think that everybody was going, "Oh my God," or anything.
no,
But
but I mean,
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah. That
but
was just your only moment, the only
and
memory, the only
but I
visual.
think it's probably a good reminder that the power of not being in charge and and again, my mom, I mean, all of our families struggled back then. These were working class people that
Hmm.
struggled and they struggled with alcohol. And, we all have had a very huge, um, history when it comes to uh, fighting and going in a very uphill battle with life.
Yeah.
Um, there was a gentleman that we both grew up with in our high school, Phil Chalkley,
Phil. Yep.
and
Good guy.
yeah, you just mentioned the cancer because it reminded me of that
Yeah.
because Phil was an amazing guy um, that we had ended up helping out as he battled
Yeah.
his cancer there, and
I think that story's in there.
yeah, we won't go
Yeah.
through it all, but
No, there's a
Okay.
lot of beautiful stories about the kind of the timeline of your life, and I know you're very much involved in a lot of it, Shane. And as you know, the title is called Integrity, and
Yeah.
there's been a lot of great news. What in your personal experience, what does that word mean for you? How does it show
I
up in your
mean,
life?
it means to me like just doing the right thing, just even when you don't really want to do the right thing, or you just trying to be honest. It's if you lose your integrity, then it's really hard to get it back.
True.
So I've done a few things in my life. I remember that one time one time and only time that I kind of like was like lying to Glenn, but it was we were at his house, and he had like they were gonna go buy some beer, but I didn't have any money. So I was like, man, I feel like a real jerk. I don't have any money. So I think it was like a $5 bill or something, and it was cut in. I didn't know it was cut in half. I said, look, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna give it to them, and then they'll think that I helped out paying. So we get there and I give it to him, and he's like, it's ripped in half. So he's like, "You got this from my house," and I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And Glenn
busted.
was like, "You jerk! You freaking stole!" And I just felt so bad that I did that. It wasn't like I was trying to steal it. I just wanted to be, I don't know,
You
but
wanted to be
after
part of you wanted to fit into the crowd, which I
I
think a
did,
lot of
but after he kind of gave me a hard time, that was it. I
Right.
never did anything like that again
I think
because it just made me feel bad. That's
you made
integrity.
you made such a really strong point about that. Once you lose it, it is so like the moment, the choice that you make that compromises your integrity is such a fleeting moment compared to the amount of work you have to do to get it back. Like that
Absolutely.
moment may feel in that moment like that's what you want to do, but you're right. The payment that you'll suffer in trying to get back what you possessed is exhausting, long, tedious, and
And
you may
sometimes
never
people will
recover.
never, yeah, you're right.
You may
And
never
sometimes,
recover.
We have friends that we both know that have promised over and over and over again this is the last time, it'll never happen again.
Right.
And they just have not been able to get their act together. And
No.
and then you lose the trust. And I think in building a life where what you're proud of, building a business that you're proud of, anything, if you don't have the ability to keep your word, to be honest, surround yourself. And it's real simple. There's people out there that say, well, I just got bad luck. Oh, he's got a great cloud that always follows him. No, he doesn't. He makes poor choices. They surround themselves with the basement people, not the balcony people. And when, when you build a life that is full of integrity and honesty, then life becomes a little bit harder. I mean, I'm sorry, it becomes a little bit easier because life's already hard.
You don't have to make amends.
Exactly.
You don't have to redo things. You don't have to remember what you said. It's like it's a rough go, and we try to tell our kids all the time, like, trust.
It's one of the most important things in the world.
Yeah.
If you're trying to build relationships, business relationships, any kind of relationships, if you're not, honest, they're gonna know it, and you're finished. So
that's right.
One of the most important things.
Shane, I have absolutely loved how much you have been part of our lives. And hold on. Shane, I love how much you've been part of our life and the story that's woven. You've been through a lot with both of us and Glenn's journey. Oh, what do you have? A quote here?
I do. It came right out of the air.
I like this. Oh, wow. People swear they're fighting demons when the whole time they're fighting the consequences of their choices. That's a powerful statement.
Amen.
That is true.
I think a lot of people have been in that battle. I think we all face it. There isn't a battle that we're not immune to not having those demons come up.
So I will say, as we wrap, Shane, we've been 45 years as friends, and we have again been through it all. And the reason I think that we're such deep friends is because of integrity, right? It's because that we've both honored each other with the right thing. There's been no jealousy. There's been, there's so many little things in our lives that have come up where one or the other could have felt different.
Just ended the friendship.
We celebrated each other.
You guys didn't end it so many times when you each were trying to steal each other's girl, or who got the first girl at the bar. Like you guys would you guys violated the bro code so many times. Like dibs.
Maybe that's why
it was. Yeah, but at this, yes, we did that a lot.
Yeah, he did do that to me a couple. Thanks for reminding me, Mindy.
I remember the time we got
dating. Shane and I had eyes on each other, and then
Hey.
That's what it was.
He still does.
I'm trying to wrap this up.
Absolutely.
I will tell you this. One time, he and I were in Ocean City, and we picked up these two girls, and he starts talking to my girl.
Oh, your girl.
And I go, Shane, it's my turn. Remember, I get to pick which one I want. We're saying this. And he goes, no. And I go, you got the one last time. It's my turn.
The ugly one? Is that what you were in?
We got in a fight in front of the
one
girls.
that wasn't so pretty.
And we got in a fight in front of the girls.
Childish.
They both looked at us like, "Are you serious?" But he was like taking dibs on my girl.
Oh my God! All right, you are in so many ways. I know she would never do this to her, but you are the Gail to you're the Gail to his Oprah. You kind of
That's right.
Although she never would have
Hey. So while we talk about a lot of debauchery, while we talked about a lot of ridiculousness, we've come through the other end, both of us. I'm real proud of you, Shane, and everything that you've been able to accomplish through pain and grit and just really, fighting back and not just becoming a victim, right?
Yeah.
You're not a victim.
No, and you're fun to be around, and we love you when you're not drinking. It's been a fun 18 years. You're so much more. Your real personality's been able to come out, and that's been a lot of fun.
I'm so glad he met you too, Mindy, because you are one of a kind. I'll tell you that.
Ah, thank you.
You know I love you.
And obviously Debbie is,
I love your wife more than life itself, literally.
And she loves you both.
Yeah, Debbie's
yeah,
I got
a
lucky.
drug dealer. She
She's
sends her shoes.
sends
Look
a
at his shoes.
shoes. You know, she works for Saks, and she's an incredible
yeah.
makeup artist and stylist, and she's a gem. She's a
So
real gem.
She
in
wanted
life,
to be.
you listen, there's so many people that cut other people off and out of their lives because of some silly little thing. And then they don't have the, or they have too big of an ego to go back and go, hey, I want to be friends again. It's so
Right.
important to have lifelong friends. It's so important to be able to have someone as a witness to your life. You know,
Yeah.
we have our spouses. It's wonderful, but to
Right.
have dear, dear friends is so critical to development and to success. Because again, in the end of the day, success is about happiness, and it's about
Yep.
really being able
In the
to
relationship.
be proud of your life. And it's
Yep,
all
that's the
stems
bottom
from
line.
relationships. Right.
Well,
It doesn't
Shane,
matter how
you
much
know,
money you have.
we will give you a copy, a signed copy of, you know, because I know you want
I
to look
would
at
love
next
one.
to your bed every day. You could be.
I want to read it. I do.
So you can-
It'll bring back memories.
We can buy. It can be purchased anywhere in advance, and Amazon and other places. Get your copy of Integrity. Tune in to Grit Happens. This has been another wonderful episode with your dear lifelong friend.
And buy
Shane
the
O'Malley.
book now because it's on pre-order.
By pre-order, you can pre-order right now. Yes.
Oh, you know what? I can't wait to read it.
Or
Can't
Amazon.
wait.
Or Amazon. And it's
Books and Noble.
this is Grit Happens. You can catch us on all the social media outlets and listen to wherever you hear your podcast. You can find us. So look up Grit Happens. We are glad you joined us for another episode. Tune in. We got more coming.
All right.
And this is us
Thank you,
signing out
Shane.
of Say It With Us.
Thanks for having me. I love you.
Grit Happens.
Take
Love
care,
you.
Shane.
Bye, Shane.